Alex tonight that this is a really hard decision to make. I wrote some notes down, so I'm going to be referring to my notes. And I'm also going to be pretty candid because I told the mayor this, as well as Mrs. McNeil, exactly what I'm going to tell you tonight. My first concern is, why is this being done? And I'm not convinced with the safety argument. I understand that there are incidents, but if you boil it down to the serious ones, not just the warnings, there were 42 incidents in 24 months. That's less than 2 per month. And again, people don't say that they feel unsafe on Packer. Certainly there are many urban universities that struggle with safety of their students, but certainly the first thing that comes to mind is not vacation of a city street to solve it. So I'm just unconvinced that this is it. I think really the reason that we're asked to be doing this tonight is because Lehigh wants to consolidate their campus. And that's not inherently a bad thing, but it has to be addressed in the correct way so that the citizens who are giving up city-owned land have faith in the process that all the data was transparent, everything was available and made abundantly clear. This study will assess the impact, but it's imperative that we all understand exactly what we are assessing. We can't get this wrong. It's not like we want to do another closure. So the data that we're gathering has to be well understood. And I would ask that the mayor and Lehigh make the contracts with the consultants transparent so that the citizens who want to know what we're studying can kind of see it now even and assess what does it look like as this closure happens, the temporary closure. This study must have a plan in place how to disseminate the study results. I went to the community meeting. I actually thought that there wasn't enough people from the community there. I think that more people could have been brought in by a more robust campaign to get the word out about what was going to be talked about and who could ask questions and all the type of data there. What was good about that meeting was that a lot of the stuff that was brought up was incorporated into the plan now. So the traffic study was expanded. The concerns that the Brockle principal brought up, he was really concerned about the impact on the students who walk from school and wanted to make sure that they were going to be safe. And so Lehigh is now, from this note that we got, funding five Lehigh University personnel to serve as crossing guards at key intersections. Way to go, you incorporated what the people brought. But there was also a lot of people calling out the fact that this was not being done for safety. And I just think that you can engender trust in the community of South Bethlehem if we're pretty frank and candid about why we're doing this. We're doing this to make Lehigh stronger, to make a stronger campus and consolidate what we've got going on. That's why we're doing this. It does have the added benefit of ameliorating some of the safety concerns, but really the primary reason is for the university. The other things I wanted to say is there's going to be significant impacts on South Bethlehem. The citizens are losing land. That is city and citizen-owned land that we would be giving up. So that has a steep price. That's very valuable land. The traffic concerns has been exhaustively talked about tonight. They're real. We really are going to have much more traffic shunted onto 3rd and 4th, and that's going to be a significant impact on quality of life. There's convenience of accessing 378. There's the pedestrian experience and safety issues with 911. These negative impacts will expect to be mitigated. So we have to figure out what are those negative impacts. And I'm talking about a permanent closure ultimately. What do we do with the dollars that we're given for that land? We're not going to dump them in the general fund. And I would like to have some discussions now so that the community is brought into this process at an early stage of what it looks like if this is permanently closed. What does it physically look like? The good points by Mr. Wirt about what is it actually, is it going to be green and look like the Greenway but a little bit wider, or is it going to be a street with hydrants and lights, and what does it look like? Are those crossing guards going to be permanent for the Brockle students? How do we draw the citizens up into this space that was formerly theirs? Do we put a playground there? How do we make it more of something that the citizens of Bethlehem feel like they are still pulled into and a part of the community? and how do we create better bike and pedestrian experiences? We want to bring the citizens down, and the students down from Lehigh down into South Bethlehem. How do we pull South Bethlehem back up into the campus so that we can really integrate it? What does that pedestrian experience look like? How do we make it easier for them? And how does Lehigh make it happen? How do we plan for that now? So for all these reasons, I am voting no today. However, what I really would encourage Lehigh to do is postpone this. I think this is a great idea. I am all for a study on what this would look like. I think, though, that there's too much that needs to be done before the March date that we could take care of now and address through the summer, and then have this study happen in the fall when Lehigh's back in session, not during spring break, which I think really skews the results. Even if you take that part where the students are away for spring break out of the data analysis, it means you've got a lesser amount of data to analyze, and it doesn't make it as valid. So I would ask that this be postponed and let people like Ms. Cramsey-Smith and myself, who actually might vote for a permanent closure if all of these impacts are mitigated and talked about in an open way and the community is more brought in a robust way. I would like to say in the end, though, that I do have a vision of what this permanent closure could look like for Bethlehem, and it's a great vision. I think that it could be a great thing for South Bethlehem if it's done correctly, and that means it has to be a slower process that has the community involved from the get-go. I would advocate for a citizen steering committee that's made up of representatives of the community, including the Brockville principal, Lehigh student representatives, citizen representatives, public safety representatives, and cyclist and pedestrian people. Because I think that if we have a closure of this land and it becomes part of the campus, that if the citizens know that all these other things are being done, maybe the money that we get for the land itself gets put into a community fund that's dictated by the community what it's used for, not by me or Lehigh or the mayor's office, but by the citizens who are actually going to be impacted by it. Maybe Lehigh can help start a South Bethlehem Business Association, because they really don't have one, and it's really needed, and perhaps that could help balance some of the problems that we have in not being able to draw those students down into 3rd and 4th Street. So I have a vision that this can work. I just ask Lehigh to slow down. There's no urgency here. There's nothing that is going to happen if we delay this for 6 months and go back and try to do a little bit more of a community process. The same plans that you've obviously very thoughtfully created and very thoroughly addressed, I think these can just be put on hold while we come up with a community process that better addresses a lot of the concerns that were brought up here tonight and fully pulls the community into it so that they believe in the process rather than feeling like it's being jammed down their throats. So for these reasons, I will not be voting for this tonight.
Thank you, Dr.